University. Issues and Attitudes airs each Monday at noon on 88.9 WEIU. Now, Issues and Attitudes.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And a very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Issues and Attitude. My name is Jeff Owens. I'm the interim general manager of WEIU TV and Radio. We're going to talk EIU football today. Head coach Mr. Kim Dameron is in the middle if you're watching on Your 13 TV. Defensive coordinator Cary Fowler, return appearance this year. Welcome, Cary.
Thank you.
And Scott Parr, offensive coordinator, Eastern Illinois University football. So we got the whole gang here today. So let's talk some football, guys. I guess practice just started over the weekend. So I'll let Coach Dameron take the first. But first impressions as we're getting going here at EIU football.
I really like our tempo, the way the kids approached it from day one, period one. We've got a good group of experienced kids. We've got some fifth-year seniors that have been with me the whole time. So I was really pleased with how they got through the summer, and the way we started practice was it was fun to watch. They got out there and got after it. We had 2 good days in shorts, and then we had a day off on Sunday. And then we start back today, and we finally put shoulder pads on this afternoon.
That's when it gets fun, right?
Yeah.
Scott, welcome to Eastern, first of all.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
What's your
Thanks
first impressions of our campus and then our football team over there?
Well, first impressions of your campus is I'm pleased to be here. Pleased with, just impressed with the pride that the community and the school has for their football program. And our football team, I've been impressed since the day that I've been here. We've got a good group of good kids. The culture that Coach Dameron, Coach Fowler has developed is the best I've seen. Our players like to come into our building, and they've done nothing but impress me in every phase that we've been in so far, from our pre-spring, weight room workouts to our spring practices to our summer workouts, and carrying it over till now. So I'm excited to be here.
We're going to get back to you in that offense here a little bit, but I'll let Coach Fowler talk a little bit. We'll start you with defense. Everybody loves defense, right? So, I don't remember last year you were getting gung-ho when we talked about the defense. Right now, I know it's just a couple days in, but what can we expect from the Panthers this year?
We return a lot of veterans.
A lot of starters.
That was but we're really young. I mean, I was telling Coach Dameron the other day, I said, we were scary young a year ago, and we didn't even realize it. We played probably 6, 7 freshmen a year ago, and they turned out, being some of our better players. But so now they are veterans. They've been around. They've been, 2 springs. All of them, most of the guys, if the new ones come in, been with us for 2 springs. And going into the camp, I just want to see where we can expand some things that they can do. But it's exciting. The kids have bought into the change that we made a year ago when we, went to the system that I've been accustomed to running, that Coach taught me years ago, and they bought into it. Now they're starting to understand a lot more. It's so much more fun to coach them, because now they're saying, oh, Coach, well, if I line up a little bit different here and disguises, things that they wouldn't even look at a year ago. But what Coach Parr said is what it makes you excited about our guys. They love being in our building. They love being in our offices. You have to make them go home at night, because after they're finished, it's not about football. They just like to sit around and hang out with our coaches and just talk and cut up with us, and that makes it fun, and that creates that family atmosphere that I've been accustomed to as a player. With Coach Dameron is the reason I wanted to be here. I knew the culture then, so it's just exciting to coach these kids because they love being around us.
There you go. Now, I know there's been a lot of talk about Scott's new, air raid, up-tempo offense. We've heard a lot about that. I'll let you get there in a minute. But, Coach, when you bring in a person with his background and knowing you're going to really change the offense, I mean, take us through, what led you to that, and then we'll let Scott talk a little bit about what we can expect as Panther fans.
Well, it's a pretty long story. No, I'm just
we got 28 minutes.
Last year during the season, once we, for the second year in a row, lost Bitch Kimball, Game 3. And it's just as we went through the season, we had Bud Martin, we had Scotty Gilkey at the quarterback position. But as far as the overall offensive philosophy, I mean, Coach Stevens and I had been together, for the 4 years. And we had been together years ago back at Stephen F. So, I mean, he's a good friend, which made it even tougher.
Yeah.
But I just knew that philosophically we needed a change. We needed more of a high tempo, up tempo spread style offense. I knew also how hard it was to defend these types of offenses. Not that our offense last year wasn't hard to defend, but it was when we got one-dimensional. And so the thing that I knew that I wanted to do was I wanted to change philosophy offensively. I wanted to become a team that has more than just one quarterback that's a viable option or two, that type. So we set about midway through the season or towards the end of the season, you start looking at national statistics and you're not putting a lot of points on the board. We're winning games. I mean, we won 6 games last year by 15 points. That makes you old in a hurry. And I knew if I was going to stay in this game very long, this is all about self-preservation.
I understand, my friend.
If I was going to stay in this game very long, I needed to have more fun on offense. So we decided, I decided at that point that after the season I was going to make some changes. I didn't know exactly the direction I wanted to go as far as personnel or people, but I knew what philosophy I was looking for. And, Cary and I have known each other since he was 19 years old. So I went to him basically, and I said, because Cary was a head coach for 6 years down at Tarleton, and had been around this style of offense, and also being a head coach with this style of offense. So it was really easy for me to have somebody that I trust as much as I trust him to be able to talk to about it. And so we talked about it, and I said, okay, well, let's go about finding us a guy. And what's amazing is, all those guys, or a lot of those guys were, they're in Texas. Because, you go to Texas high school. I coached in Texas for 4 years at Stephen F. And you go to, watch those Texas high school games. This is the offense you see. So that's how it all kind of got started. And we happened on Coach Parr. He was highly recommended by some people that outside of just me and Cary that I trusted, that I've worked with before. And so we contacted him, and he was interested, and that's how those things kind of happen. It's never a deal where in this business, it's not send in a resume. It's go research it and find the guy you're looking for. And so that's what we did, and so far couldn't be happier.
That's a heck of a setup, Coach Parr.
Yes, sir. Yep. I'm enjoying the honeymoon period right now. We hadn't had a bad series yet.
Yeah, you just got to knock off Arkansas. Don't worry about it.
There hadn't been a 3 and out yet, so hadn't had to defend myself.
There you go. We'll talk about it. I think people are genuinely excited. This time of year, everybody's juices are flowing. If you're a football fan, and to know that there's going to be a new look and a new way that the offense is going to appear for EIU football fans. Talk about what we can expect and just go from there.
Okay. Well. I think the first thing people have got to realize, and I think, the air raid is the name, and really it's part of the illusion, to set up the run. And so I think I was visiting with a guy by the name of Hal Mummy this summer at a clinic. He is credited to being the originator of the offense, and him and Mike Leach. And he told me that Mike Leach gave that nickname air raid to the offense for a purpose, to give the illusion that it's all downfield throws and to help set up the run. But we're an offense built off of 10 personnel, built off of 4 verticals, and our game sets up off of that. And we want to be balanced in our downfield passes, our quick passes, our screen passes, and our runs, and be able to have the ability to take what the to take what the defense gives us.
A lot of quarterbacks, you with 4 quarterbacks maybe vying for that one spot. Those have been talked about. I know Scotty's coming back, and you went and got a couple other quarterbacks, and Coach or Scott talked about. But I know right now it's right now early. But at what point do you kind of get from 4 to 2 to 1? How's that transition going to happen?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's a question we're trying to answer. Right now. So,
but there was no timeline. You just kind of let it go as natural.
If what you would ideally like to have is somebody set up right now, somebody that is the guy, and they're getting the entire reps in fall camp and even in the spring with the first group. But right now for us, it's we've got a lot of good players at that spot, and we've got to. The most important thing is for us right now is to find the right guy and still try to manage their reps where we're getting them enough to for whoever that guy is to be prepared to play. That's a big challenge right now, and that's what we're working on every day.
Yeah, that's the thing. Anytime you make a change, it puts one more dynamic into the equation, especially if you have multiple guys who have played or that are new guys and stuff like that. So the spring was something that we only had 15 practices in the spring, and so obviously in 15 practices you're not going to answer all your questions. But I could see us playing more than one quarterback in the first game, or me personally, it wouldn't bother me at all to play 2. Basically all year. We over the past 2 years, we found out what happens when you kind of have all your eggs in a basket, and then all of a sudden you drop the basket, and your eggs break, and it you're having to kind of feel like you're coming from behind all the time. And so the thing that you mentioned, Scotty was here last year and won some games for us. And so, he has embraced this new offense. He learned it as well as he could in the spring. He's worked his fanny off this summer. He's coming back this year, to compete for a job. The kid that Scott had, Harry Woodbury, probably the most familiar with the offense, obviously, because he ran the system a year ago, and has really done some good things. And so excited about him. And then obviously Jonathan Brantley.
He's a transfer from right.
Transfer from Tulane. Started against Oklahoma last year. Has played in. He's probably the only guy in our football team that's played in a stadium as big as we're going to see in Arkansas, with as many fans in it. When you line up and go against the Sooners at their place, they're pretty rabid.
Not bad, good team.
And so that's he'll see that same type of atmosphere at Arkansas. So I feel good about and then we have a young kid, Jalen Banks, and then we signed a heck of a player in Quay Gray. When watching him in high school, throwing as many touchdowns, and he actually played for Scott's brother, and so there's some familiarity there, and so I think it's a really good situation. Obviously, we're going to have to here in the next week, as we keep evaluating and keep teaching and just kind of see who takes the reins and all that. Like Scott said, you would like to have one guy. I was watching yesterday. I was watching the Denver Broncos a little bit. They had a little thing on, and they were talking about their quarterback situation last year was kind of up in the air and all that, but now they got Case Keenum, and so he's come in, he's the man, new sheriff in town, all that stuff. And so the thing that we have to do is we have to allow those guys to compete it out and to not have a lot of preconceived ideas about exactly who it's going to be, but know that we're going to at some point have to say, okay, competition's over. Here's who it is. Let's go. And then we got to get them ready to play. So.
And you got to get 3, 4, and 5 to buy in that they're not 1 and 2.
Well,
yeah,
tough, right? That's always an issue.
Yeah.
You know, it always is in this day and time. But I feel good about each young man. They're good people. They're excellent character kids, and I truly believe that of all of them, they will have the team's best interest at heart when it finally comes down to, hey, we're going to go win a game with this guy, and then this guy's going to be the next guy, so we'll have them set as far as who's doing what. And
that next
we do that and that's the thing. I mean, we do that at every position. I mean, who's your starting right guard?
It's just something
who's
about
next?
that quarterback gets the.
Well, it is. Yeah. It is, and a lot of that.
And there's some names on the wall over there that make it.
Yeah, I mean, being the quarterback at Eastern Illinois has a little something about it.
Yep.
When you've got some of the names that have been through here, and what they've done after they left here, but mostly what they did while they were here.
Yep.
Every day when our quarterbacks walk in the building, they have to walk right by Tony Romo and Garoppolo's Walter Payton Award. So it's they cast a shadow. Not to mention
Sean
Payton, not
Jeff
to Christensen.
The one that kind of doesn't ever get mentioned.
Yeah, I mean you can go back even when Cary and I were at Murray State, they had good quarterbacks here, and so it's going to be a stressful thing, but it's a fun thing also, and they love to compete. So that's what we're doing.
In the last 3 years, I've been on my backup quarterback by the 5th game. So I think that's what we do have that here. It's a luxury we got.
Hey,
we're going to have whoever it is next man up is going to have a legitimate chance to be prepared to go in to win a game.
There you go. Now, Cary, on defense, you'll probably have some of the same situations. Maybe the fans don't know the names, but as you start filling out your depth chart on defense, can you give us some that you think we can look for that you think are going to be playmakers on D?
Well, everything starts up front, and with Taylon Shepard and Josh Price, there are 2 seniors up front, and those guys have got to set the tone for us, and that's I didn't have them in the spring. They've been kind of banged up, and we'll be getting them back in the flow. But really, everything up front starts with them because I think they set the tempo. I've really been impressed with those 2 guys and their development in Coach's system because, there were some issues with those kids growing up, and it's so fun to see those kids become that senior and become that leader, and they're, taking care of their business. And I wouldn't trade those 2 right now for anybody. But, several years ago, you're like, man, how long do we have to have them, But they have become really good leaders and really bought into our program. And Deshaun Smith the same way at corner. When you get away from our defensive line, Deshaun Smith in the linebacking core in the secondary, he's the only senior, So But we have a lot of guys that have came back, and Mark Williams, of course, at corner is a fine player, and he's expect big things out of him. We need somebody to establish himself as a dominant player on the opposite corner, so that we can balance the balls out, so we can get it thrown towards Mark's direction. Yep. And he's one of those cornerbacks that he thrives on the ball thrown his way. At the linebackers, we got Joe Caputo's coming back it started for us, and
Caputo, I like it.
Chicago kid.
Chicago, and he embraces Caputo. And Joe's a great kid and a good football player. We got Deterius Johnson. I don't want to put pressure on him, but talent-wise, is probably one of the best football players I've ever coached. And we just got to get him going in the right direction. He had a great year. He was banged up and had surgery at the end of the year. And, not many times do you have a 270-pound linebacker.
Oh, wow. That's a big one.
That can run. And, he's a great player. And then, our safeties, getting Ray Crittenden back. We lost him the entire year last year. That was going to be our starting safety. You get a big guy that's a 6'2", 6'3" safety. Isaiah Gully at the other side. We've got really long safeties, and then they're going to kind of fight it out at our strong safety. But we have one guy we're waiting to see on at linebacker right now that just came in. A guy that hasn't been in any of the recruiting classes that's with us. It's really opened our eyes. Is a guy named B.J. Ojo that we got out of Texas. and he's a linebacker that can really run. So it's be interesting. But I play by committee. I mean, we play a lot of people defensively. I tell you guys all the time, my last 5 championships, we played 2 quarterbacks. They don't listen, They don't listen.
You're a defensive coach, right?
Yeah, but it's fun being in the system. Me and Scott have known each other for a long time. Years we've known each other, and we battled it out there in that Texas league against each other. He was one of the hardest to defend. But he also one thing is he knew that I was brought into this offense as a defensive coordinator because we ran it at the schools I was at, but I also ran it when I was the head coach. And he's been on situations where those 2 guys aren't on the same, because you've got to be prepared to play an extra quarter basically defensively, because time of possession they're not going to have. But if you look at time of possession, the team that has the greatest time of possession doesn't win championships. It's called scoring offense. We won't run as many plays, but you have to have that side. And I'm preparing my kids mentally and at the end of the practice that we're going to have to go in and play equivalent to 5 quarters with the offense that we have.
That's a good answer. That's a really good answer. I like that. I'm ready. Everybody ready?
Yep.
Now, Coach, do you pay attention much to the preseason picks and selections, or is you're geared up like you've talked about in the past, first 3 games and then get ready for conference? When do you think?
Well, when you go like to OVC media days and things like that, I mean, basically they pick, the way it ended up last year. That's the way it's, supposedly going to end up this year. We've never worried too much about those types of things. I know Cary and I were talking earlier this summer about a year that we had together, 1995. We were at Murray State, and we were picked 4th or 5th in the league. We had been a 500 team the year before, lost some close games, won some close games, and all of a sudden we reeled off, 11 in a row. So it can happen. And so we're not too worried about preseason rankings and all that stuff. We have 11 opponents guaranteed this year. Opponent number 1 is all we're really going to be concerned about here in a few weeks. Right now we're just concerned about us, though.
Now you got to be a little excited though when you're going to Arkansas. You played there, and you coached there, I believe, at least 1 year, right? As a grad assistant, as a couple.
I was a grad assistant there in '83. Yeah.
So that's kind of a neat feeling though, to go back to where you played, Arkansas, and you played in 4 bowl. You were a part of 4 bowl games, if I recall, right?
I was. Yeah. Played in the Sugar, the Gator, the Hall of Fame, and the Bluebonnet, which 2 of those don't exist anymore. It tells you how old I am.
And I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about them if we get time. I actually researched something.
Oh, okay, good. But yeah, it's going to be fun to go back home. When I was at Louisiana Monroe, we played in Little Rock twice. Obviously, when I was at Ole Miss, we played once in Fayetteville. So I've been back before, coaching. Yeah. It's a little different, but it'll be something special to go in as a head coach and bring my team in there or I say our team. It's not my team, but
it's okay.
Yeah, it's just, but it will be fun. Yeah, and so I'm looking forward to it. And it's something though. I will tell you this: when we're in the tunnel and they're calling the hogs, the hair on the back of my neck's going to stand up. It always has and always will.
There you go. And then after that, in case you're wondering, EIU opens up at Arkansas on September 1st. And the next week, the Mid-America Classic at Illinois State. So 2 road games to start off before you come home against the Sycamores of Indiana State, that 3rd game. And in the past year, I remember you've kind of always looked at the preseason schedule. That's kind of like the preseason to the conference. So you look forward to those 3 games. Then you look to the OVC. I mean, everybody's talking about Jacksonville State. Murray State's supposed to have a good team this year. So as you get to OVC, talk about what you think the OVC will look like as you can take that 8-game stretch.
Well, it's the same as every year. If you don't, as they say, bring your A game, you can get your butt beat. And so, we played last year. We played some really very good opponents very well. We played probably better at home than we did on the road. The year before, we were a better road team than we were. And so a lot of it has to do with, I guess, who you're playing where. But, Jacksonville State obviously has been the class of league for the last 4 years. And until somebody proves that they're not, will continue to be. I think, obviously last year we saw a big jump by Austin Peay, going from basically worst to almost first.
And that was shocking.
It really was.
But like you said,
Will did a great job down there, and they got some transfers in, and they did some things differently than they had done in the past, administratively also, and gave him some chances that the other ones didn't get at that point, but did a great job. I mean, that was his second year, and so you could see he improved that team in a hurry, and still they're picked to be number 2, and then UT Martin. Jason's always done a great job down there, has been there forever, and we have struggled with them a little bit. We really struggled with them last year. So, that's the top 3 right now. We're being 4, and then everybody else. But it's no different than any other year. I mean.
Yep. We're talking football. It always goes fast. We only got a couple minutes good left. No.
All right. So you said you had some
trivia. Now, in the Blue Bonnet Bowl.
Yeah.
Who'd you beat?
Florida.
What was the score?
28-24.
He's good. He's good
on it.
Now, the 1981 Gator Bowl.
Yeah.
What was the big issue there? Do you remember?
Fog.
It was the original Fog Bowl, not the Eagles.
I swear I was standing on the sideline looking across, and I could not tell that there was another team over there.
Yeah, so ABC didn't know what to do. They had to send cameramen down to and you can see. So that was my trivia about that. But the other neat thing about it is when you're doing that research, I didn't realize you coached in the Canadian Football League for a year too.
I did. I coached for the Toronto Argonauts. Yeah.
How was that? Tell us a little bit.
Loved it. Loved it. That's a fun game. It really is. It's wide open. Everybody's moving at once. And you would think, gosh, defensively it'd just be a nightmare, but it really isn't. I mean, you just have to wait till the ball snapped to see where everybody is. But it's a fun game, and I had really good players. I had a guy that played for me at what was Southwest Missouri State, which is now Missouri State. I also got to coach him in the CFL, and so that was actually one of the reasons I was there, is because he was there. But it was really fun, and Toronto's I lived out actually in Mississauga, but Toronto, Hamilton, great rivalries, and the thing about it is that league is old. I mean, those people have been playing each other for a long time.
Yeah. Johnny Manziel got a little taste of it on Friday night. You see that? Sir. Not a good start for Johnny.
Oh, I didn't see it.
He threw 4 interceptions.
Oh, he's playing at Montreal, right?
Yeah. But first game. We got about a minute left. Did I forget anything that you guys want to talk about real quick? Cary and Scott, I appreciate you coming in with Coach Dameron today. We're talking about EIU football. Anything? Give me a little background. One tidbit about you, Scott. Pro football favorite team, favorite player, something?
Don't really have a favorite team right now. I guess an NFL team. I follow players that I've coached.
There you go.
That's what I do.
Cary, same thing.
Same thing. But I tell you this. I'm always happy in the Super Bowl because I know my team is probably, but I've always been a Cleveland Brown fan ever since, from Brian Sight. That was the first quarterback.
Remember, I'm a Steeler fan, right?
All right. Well, I got now a kid that's like a son of mine is a corner for the Steelers. So that, where do you go? But one of my coaches,
you come with me.
But one of my coaches that coached me, that Ethan Hudson, his son's on our staff. Mark Hudson was my special teams coach at Murray State, is at Cleveland. So that's why the pro game gets so crazy. But I go back I cried on the fumble and the drive, and you've cheered when you won the Super Bowls, and we never won one with the Browns. But
that's a great.
I never got upset because we didn't make the Super Bowl. We expected not to.
Well, we're glad football's back. Best of luck to all the coaches and the EIU Panthers this year, everybody.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yep.